going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Sav Show. My name is Savilian. I've been a little absent lately, and I do apologize for that. However, I believe everything will make sense very shortly. So let's dive into it. I'm going to be changing the structure of my podcast a little. I feel like I do this every couple of months at this stage, but it's my podcast and I do what the fuck I want. So I'm going to, I've already kind of started doing this, but I'm going to be a little bit more scheduled and consistent with it, I think. It's basically going to look like this. So I write a newsletter. Every Sunday. In that newsletter, at the moment, I've been sharing stories and I've been going into detail about specific things in my life. I'm going to begin catering that newsletter to be more aligned with the journey that I'm on right now, my discoveries, my kind of realizations and my journey. Just kind of insight to my journey as an artist and the things that I'm doing to be more aligned with that higher version of myself. So that's what the newsletter looks like and is going to look like. Again, every Sunday at 5 p.m., there will be a link below to subscribe to that newsletter. From there, I'm going to take that newsletter and I'm going to turn it into podcast form via me kind of talking and reading the newsletter out and riffing a little bit. So I'm going to dive into that today. This was a newsletter that I wrote on the 16th of July, which was last Sunday. It's titled, My Life Changed Last Sunday. So the week before, which would have been the 9th of July, I believe, or maybe the 10th. Anyway, let's go. It started like a regular day, rushing to work, hungover with little to no sleep. After I'd spent the previous day with my family, eating good food, drinking nice beer, and watching the Rocky Horror Picture Show, it was clear that I had myself a great time and that I had overindulged. Side note, Rocky Horror Picture Show, for anyone who's not seen it at the theater, highly recommend. A lot of fun. Anyway, despite this indulgence and lack of health prioritization, my 7:30 a.m. start time was calling me. Upon rising from my bed at 7:05, I quickly showered, slapped some work attire on and power walked to work. I made it to the cafe and clocked in on time. Just. Things started smoothly. A few orders here and there, a steady pace for a cruisy winter's morning in one of Melbourne's darling inner east suburbs. The pace remained steady, and although I felt slightly hungover, pretty standard for a Sunday morning, and lacking some sleep, I was managing fine. I went on my break around 12:30 p.m. and returned at 1 p.m. Shortly after that time, I was speaking to a couple of lovely older gentlemen. It was one of their birthdays. He was 67, and on this day, I went out of my way to make him feel special. The conversation began to drag a little bit because I was giving him the floor, and let's just say he was definitely taking it. The conversation began to drag a little, and when I felt something rising up inside of me, a feeling of dread started spreading through all of my limbs. At first, I shrugged it off, but then it came back with vengeance. Like a parasite was invading my body. It overwhelmed me as I felt my body shutting down. I stumbled away from the gentleman without warning and placed the plates that were in my hand onto the table next to me. I was dazed and I felt my limbs going numb. Stumbling to the front of the cafe, I looked at my Chilean co-worker and told her to call the ambulance. Understandably, she looked at me and smiled. Didn't take me too seriously. You see, in the workplace, I like to keep it light and I like everyone to have fun. And a sharp turn to intense seriousness was not immediately seen as something to be concerned about. She thought I was joking. I dropped to one of my knees as the feeling got stronger, and then I repeated to her, "Call the ambulance." I saw her face turn to a look of concern, but I didn't have time to wait. This felt really serious. Dragging myself outside and onto the benches at the front of the cafe, I managed to get out my phone and dial 000. But somehow I had reached the police line and trying to explain my situation was proving just too difficult, so I hung up. By this time, I had slumped onto the cold, wet concrete footpath as a feeling of dread completely took over my body. It wasn't pain I was feeling. This was a sensation that alerted me that something was the fuck wrong. It swarmed me as everything felt cold, dark, and numb. My body was slowing down and I was scared. I was real scared. By now, the chef and my co-worker were outside with me, talking to the ambulance and communicating. We gave them the details of my condition and they assured us that someone was on their way. As I sat on my knees, I looked into the darkness behind my eyes. I knew my fate was sealed. This was it for me. I was going to die on this footpath and not a goddamn thing was going to change it. No shoulda, woulda, coulda. No feeling of regret or missed opportunity. No what ifs or I wonder ifs. I was scared, of course. I want to be alive. But the certainty of it all gave me a calmness. Through my work in stoicism, I had somewhat been preparing for this moment. I pleaded to my co-worker for the ambulance to arrive quickly as I slumped onto my side. By now, I felt like I was slipping deeper into the nothingness that awaits us all. I heard the sirens off in the background. You see, whenever I hear sirens in my day-to-day, I say to myself, someone's life just changed. To me, it is an acknowledgement of the seriousness of those sirens and also to accept the things that can always change for any of us at any time. It's something that I do, like this, talking off script for a second, this is something that I do in my daily life. I was brought to the attention of this concept by a friend of mine, ex-friend of mine, and it's a really interesting thought, and I try to repeat it every single time I hear sirens. Someone's life just changed, so I don't kind of numb myself to the reality of the fact that things are changing all the time for everyone, and I could be one of those people. On this day, I happen to be. On this occasion, those sirens signified my life changing, and I was bloody glad to hear them. A paramedic approached and stood over me. He started to ask questions. He helped me to a sitting position and began running tests, all the usual suspects. After 20 minutes of assessment and questioning, my condition had stabilized, and he gave his thesis. Firstly, whatever was happening was not immediately life-threatening. Well, that's good to know. Secondly, his belief that it was a panic attack and that the experimentation with my antidepressants, see previous newsletter, may have had something to do with it. By now, an ambulance had arrived, so too my family and a group of onlookers. They were gathered on the side of the road, obviously, looking on. So you're telling me all of this, all these people, all these health professionals, all this drama, all for a panic attack? I felt a lot of things in that moment. Silly, yeah, that comes to mind as one of those things. Regardless of the non-life-threatening status, I felt what I felt. I was so close to death that it felt real. I saw it. The certainty of the next life absorbed me in that moment. It's now a week later, and after having a variety of other tests done during the week, it is now clear that there is no other health concern beside the one that brought forward by the misuse of my antidepressants, mixed in with some overdependence on alcohol, some dehydration, sleep deprivation, and possibly vertigo. What I also know is this: something changed in me, something raw and deep and unexplainable. Even though I didn't die on Sunday the 9th or whatever the fuck it was, a part of me did. I looked into the face of infinity and I was terrified, but quietly reassured that it came with an element of peace. It is what it is. Or so they say. I'm yet to fully understand this, and of course, you will all be kept in the loop, but my life really did change last Sunday. I really am so fucking happy to be here. Nothing but gratitude. Anyway, gang, no more rambling from me. Hope you're all having a ripper weekend, and we'll be in touch. Saf. P.S. I announced that my EP is going to be out on the 2nd of August, and it would be so dope if you could all pre-save it. I will drop a link below. So that's the end of the newsletter. I'll quickly riff on this concept and basically what it represents to me. TLDR, too long didn't listen, I guess. TLDL. I had a massive panic attack at work. I stumbled out on the footpath, genuinely thought I was dying, laid on the fucking wet concrete at 1 p.m., surrounded by, I guess, confused onlookers. Laid there and felt every feeling that would indicate that my life was ending. And it was an incredibly powerful moment because I realized something. I couldn't change it. Like if I was actually dying, I was not going to be able to stop it. The end is the end is the end. It's as simple as that. And yeah, no woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like I wasn't thinking about like, I didn't even think like, I wish I could see my mom. I didn't even think like, I wish I could have done that thing or seen that person or had that opportunity. So I guess that leaves me with, a couple of things. One, live your life the way that you fucking want all day, every day, because, when it comes and there's no point thinking back. Just do it. Just live the life. And then two, I guess it doesn't matter. Like none of it matters. In such a humbling way, like none of this matters. In a beautiful way. Like I really mean that. Like it all matters because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And the value that we put on things is the only value that matters. How we choose to see things and give, credit to things and value to things, like, is the only thing that matters. So, yeah, it was fucking surreal. It was so surreal. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. I was clearly scared. My coworker was there with me, and she said that I looked very scared, and I was, because I thought it was over. But I'm so grateful that it isn't yet, and I hopefully don't intend it to be over for a really long time, and I guess I just don't want to. I want to do good things while I'm alive. Like I want to be alive. I want to be alive doing good things, because good things make me happy and valuable things make me happy, and sharing my wisdom and my energy with the world and making the world a better place, like raising the collective consciousness, that makes me happy. That gives me joy. And I just need to focus on that. Like that's a journey. That's the path. That's the commitment. That is my calling. That is my daemon. Read Stephen Pressfield. Anyway, guys, that's enough rambling about my near-death experience. If anyone has any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns, let me know. And yeah, as I said, my EP is going to be out on the 2nd of August. So please go pre-save it or jump into the email sequence below, which I'll explain in the next episode a little bit further. Got a few conversations coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna let you know right now. DOS Boy, 4-3 Scout, and Winmar. So yeah, it's gonna be big. All right, everyone stay safe. Big love, and I'll see you next time on the Sav Show. Let's go.